Hello, everybody. Welcome to Maximum Libertarian and the Roanoke Valley uh, Libertarians interview with Kate Assaraf. She is the CEO of DIP Sustainable Hair Care Products. She's built a seven-figure sustainable brand purposely not selling on Amazon or paying influencers. She champions the small retail stores that sell her products, pointing out we need to support our local economy because at some point it won't exist and Amazon will take over. She also has a great backstory of having an Iranian family. Oh, that's exciting to hear.
Yeah,
So please introduce yourself to the audience here.
sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Kate. I own Dip. It's a sustainable hair care brand. And usually, when people hear sustainability, they roll their eyes. They're kind of fed up with it. But I can guarantee that, I've worked really hard to take away all of the, that emotion when you buy something that's to make it better for the planet and only to be left disappointed. I've tried to make our plastic-free shampoo and conditioner bar is so good that the plastic-free part isn't even part of our conversation or any of our marketing.
Okay. That sounds good. Now let me ask you a question. You sent and I know we'll get into it. You make the bars.
Mhm.
So often people are using liquid stuff. Does the liquid part and the plastics, is there something when you make liquid, or is it just the cost thing that makes it cheaper for the bars?
Well, it's the idea for my mission is to get people to be aware of the plastic crisis, whether it's the accumulation of plastic on the planet or whether it's the health factors of having so much plastic out there that it starts to seep into the environment, the food chain, and all of that factors and into our brains and bloodstream. So my goal is to get people, off of plastic and stop being so plastic dependent or plastic blind and getting into a different lifestyle, making the small lifestyle changes that inspire you to just make new ones little by little. So, there's nothing wrong with liquid shampoo or conditioner. There's plenty of brands out there doing refillable versions of shampoo and conditioner, which is fine if you prefer liquid format. But for me, I love the bars because they last forever. So my one conditioner bar, it replaces very, very expensive conditioner. So if you're someone who spends, $50 to $70 on conditioner a month, which there are many people with really beautiful hair that do that, the Dip conditioner bar will replace over $500 worth of conditioner for someone in 1 year. So my goal was, it's the format is different for people, but it is the main goal is plastic, not to move someone from liquid if they really love that.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was something inside the liquid form, the chemistry of making liquid soap compared to bar soap.
Well,
So
it's mostly the weight of the liquid to ship it
uh-huh.
around to and fro and put it in warehouses, and then you need preservatives when there's water in the formula. So in that respect, I think bars are better, but I err on the side of what the consumer wants and loves. So I don't want to shame anyone for loving liquid if that's their format.
I gotcha. Okay, let's start here. What first sparked your passion for nature and environmental issues growing up, and how did this influence your decision to start DIP?
So I grew up with a very earthy mom, and she was a professor of anthropology, and she was one of those moms that would take me out for long walks, and we'd go, swimming in the lake nearby, and we spent a lot of time outside, but not just spending time outside. She taught me the names of the flowers and the trees. Like she treated being outside as part of the education and part of motherhood to myself and my siblings. And, now as an adult with my own children, I really, really appreciate that. And I think what's happened since, I'm in my 40s. So I was a kid of the 80s, and now you see what's happened just with the way people shop and consume and the way companies produce things that are planned obsolescence, that they're meant to break and they're meant to be replaced. We're in this like era of buying things that is almost sad. It's sad for consumers. I think it's sad for businesses. I think it's sad for the environment. And I think that we all kind of need a little bit of a shoulder shake to realize that we can't keep buying our way into sustainability or into saving the planet, but we also, as owning a company, we have to be responsible for what we put out there in the world.
Okay. Yes, I agree with that. So what you mentioned, coming from humble beginnings and having an Iranian stepmom who ran a business with integrity, how does the early experiences shape your approach to entrepreneurship and sustainability?
Sure. So my mother and my father immigrated from Iran during the revolution in the 70s. So they came over here. My mom was very earthy. Eventually they got divorced, and my dad met a Persian businesswoman who also came over from Iran. And she had an office furniture store that started with one block and moved, and then was eventually several blocks in Long Island. And, when you have kind of an academic mother who's more humble and is a little bit frightened of money, and then you see that there's another way to think about business and think about entrepreneurship that's responsible and admirable and exciting. And I learned from my Persian stepmom that business is your way to take care of yourself, to take care of your family, and then also it's your responsibility to push that success towards other people. So she always told me success is so much sweeter when it's shared. And I've taken that to heart, and I've engineered like the systems for my business so that it helps independent retailers around the country who are also, trying to change people's views about plastic.
What frustrates you the most about traditional hair care products and packaging that led you to create the plastic-free shampoo and conditioner bars?
I mean, the biggest frustration I have is the plastic. Just,
It's just
so
plastic.
I mean, I love some of the bottled brands out there. So they make your hair look so, so beautiful. But that's the plastic is the problem. And the plastic is, is the issue, not just in hair care, but just in, the plastic surrounding food, the plastic surrounding, I don't know, pretty much anything that you're looking for. The only place where I think plastic is the most useful is in the medical industry, right? Where you have to really sanitize, protect. I think that's one of those like where I don't think we'll ever be able to get around it.
What was your career path? How did you where did you start? What got you into, like, did you start in like beauty like when you were a
Yeah.
kid and things to that, and then worked your
You know,
way up?
no, well, kind of, yeah. I first, so my degree's in economics and math,
Okay.
and I went to the beauty industry. I started working in the beauty industry very early in my career, my early 20s. And I saw a lot of the ugliness of the beauty industry. I loved kind of the glitz and glamour of it, but also you saw a lot of deceptive marketing. You saw a lot of, one of the jobs that I had required me to go on prep models for being on air to show live before and afters. And we'd have to draw with like brown eyeliner wrinkles into their foreheads that would magically go away with the products on air. I mean, those were the kind of tactics that we saw in the beauty industry. It's always made me uncomfortable, and it's always made me question, business ethics, and really like what will you do for a dollar as a business owner? And so for my own company, we don't do any of that deceptive marketing at all. Literally, we don't use any influencers. We don't have pretend customers on our feed. Everyone that's on our socials is someone that's paid for the product and genuinely loves it and has purchased it and used it the whole way through.
Was that the aha moment, I guess, if you will, where
Yeah,
when you started drawing the lines on the people's foreheads?
kind of. Yeah. I mean, well, it was one of those where it's like, it wasn't my decision to do that. I was young in the industry, and it was like, is this the way the industry is? And as I grew with the industry, I saw over and over that this is how the industry is. I was working on another product launch where they were supposed to show the effectiveness of skincare, and they sent the models to go get Botox in between the photos. So how they have like the 30-day, they show the 30-day time lapse, and in between those models went and got Botox. And I found it so, it's just horrifying, these things that happen behind closed doors in the industry.
Mhm.
And the well-meaning consumer that's looking for a solution to their wrinkles and then seeing that this is like some miracle, but it's really not a miracle at all. It's a miracle that made it through the FTC, you know?
Well, now you've grown your business into a seven-figure business,
Mhm.
and you're not relying on Amazon or big box retailers. What made you come to that decision, and what advantages have you seen so far with it?
So I came to that decision mostly because I fell in love with the refill industry. So if you don't know what
Okay,
that is,
what's refill? Yeah.
so refill is it's an emerging market of their stores where you actually bring your empty bottles. So say you have an empty laundry detergent bottle, that big plastic jug. You don't need to
Uh,
go buy another laundry detergent jug. You can bring this empty one to a refill store and refill it with laundry detergent with better, safer for your family ingredients. And so you can refill anything. Sometimes refill stores have spices, hand soap is a high volume thing, dishwasher detergent. They also have, the one by my house has, pasta, beans, like really, I don't know, chocolate chips, flour. It has everything. So you actually take plastic out of the whole, system of your life when you refill. And this kind of store, I fell in love with what they were doing, the type of person that owns them, and also, it's kind of rock and roll in the days of Amazon to open a store like that, where you know they're genuinely creating new solutions for communities and inviting people to learn about sustainability in a way that's soft served.
how big's your warehouse? Do you make your soap? I mean, how
Yeah.
big is it? How many
Yeah.
people do
So
you have underneath you?
there's 7 people on the dip team. We're still small, and there's 4 people in our warehouse and manufacturing facility. They've been with me the whole time, and so yeah, I'm an American manufacturer. I have my own facility. It's in North Carolina, and and it's probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. I never imagined myself to be a factory owner, but it's something that's very, very near and dear to me because I love the idea of creating jobs. As an economist, it's something that is so near and dear to my heart. I didn't want to outsource that kind of thing. I wanted to take it, um, you know, under my own wing. And it turns out that it was one of the best business decisions I ever made. And also just purpose wise, I love running my company, having my team, and being able to coordinate all our efforts together.
When you have a small team, sometimes you can have that if everyone's on the same page,
Mhm.
you really get like, because you might be the car,
Yeah.
but you need the bolts and the
Yeah.
screws and all the little parts in there to make sure it
Yeah.
runs, because otherwise it's just like, oh, well, great, it's a body, and that's it. You don't have no, if you have no seat, it's not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I totally know what you're saying.
so
And the I am just, one person. A lot of the credit for the company comes from the team. The team really, really puts it together and makes the company what it is. So as far as, being a business owner, I would be nothing without my team, to be honest.
so how do you prioritize and support independent retailers and refill shops, and what impact have you seen on local communities?
I prioritize them by one, not putting our products on Amazon. That I get laughed at all the time for by other business owners. Like, you got to be on Amazon. You can 10x your business on Amazon, but like, to what cost, right? That would cost these independent brick and mortar stores that are selling dip, and in many cases dip pays the rent for their entire store. Their dip sales pay the rent, so they're able to survive because I don't undercut them online. And so I also don't undercut them with our direct to consumer site either. So the same price you see in store is going to be this price you see on the site. And that's a very conscious decision. It's a way to enable our stores to survive. It's a way so that someone sitting in their chair on their phone, instead of adding to cart, might be curious, might use dip as a reason to be curious enough to go into those stores. And hopefully they go into a store and is like, oh my gosh, I can refill, my flour, or I can refill whatever comes to mind, bubble bath for my kids. And I know that the ingredients are vetted and safe. So, this is the way I get people into stores, and I want them to be exposed to the other problem solution plastic free items that are available to them.
What I know we were talking about. Hey, you've always been in like when did it really come to your conscious about the plastics? Because it seems like to me it's now just because I
Yeah.
work with inside the water department, so we're having PFAS, which is like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
forever chemicals and stuff that's in the water,
Mhm.
and even medicine, and like being in the water industry, cleaning water and things of that nature. We people dumping their medicines into the water, so we get to see the life of the fishes and all that stuff getting to take all the pills that we get to take. And what do you remember that moment where it's like,
Yeah.
did it all click, or was
Yeah.
there just, I know your mom, you said, was earthy and all that stuff, so
No, there was a moment. There was actually, my brother bought me this book. My brother had 4 children before me, and he bought me this book called Boys Adrift by Leonard Sachs. And it talked
uh-huh.
about how to raise a productive son and these 5 factors that seemed to have an effect on boys, and how they grow up. And one was video games, but another one was like boys and their fathers don't go out and hunt anymore, so don't listen to nature signs. But one of the ones that was just a small blip in the book that actually horrified me was that um, the researcher, the author, found out that plastic runoff from a factory in the Potomac River actually had the male fish laying eggs. And that kind of endocrine disruption is something that they hadn't really seen before. And I was pregnant with my son when I was reading this, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're like telling me to drink all this bottled water. They're telling me to never be without bottled water. This is before everyone had Stanley cups and everyone was refilling.
Right.
I always was drinking Poland Springs. I was doing, now looking back, it's like horrifying to think about how many microplastics were just entering my body at the time. But it totally changed my perspective. It was horrifying, actually. It's like those moments where, there's few moments in your life, like when you find out Santa isn't real and you're like, your world collapsed. Well, it was almost more like that, but more scary, where I just, everywhere I looked, there's plastic everywhere. And you start to metabolize that information, and it starts to be like, oh my gosh, my whole life I've been reheating things in the microwave and black plastic because I never thought anything of it. And you start to read like about how dangerous all that stuff is, and I spiraled a little. I was like, this is crazy. And I know that people, it's not that they don't care about plastic, it's just that the way that information is served to them is served with so much fear that it almost freezes people into indifference. Do you know what I mean? They're like, well, I'm on the sinking ship already, there's nothing I can do. But I think what I tried to do with Dip was to not make the plastic free part of the main part of the story, and actually just talk about like, it's great and it saves you money, and you know buy it in a refill store, and then maybe perhaps when you're in a refill store you can see all of these other solutions for your life. Like that's kind of my theory, and the bigger, greater mission I tried to accomplish. And so far it's been working, because people do go to their local refill store, they're curious, Dip gets them in there, and then they start to get exposed to all of these other things.
What has been some of the hardest challenges you've had with creating and developing the different bars and the quality?
So the hardest thing was I wanted to solve the problem of making the same set of bars for all hair types. And so
Uh,
consumers can just shop the scent. They just want to, because I know that people just want to smell. Some people just want to smell like coconut. Some people just want to smell like, rose or whatever scent that they like. And so making sure that the formula would work for, say, like someone with type 1 hair, which is like fine and straight, or with someone with type 4 hair that is kinky coily, like that. And then maybe those 2 people have 4 kids, and every single child has a different hair pattern, curl
mhm.
pattern. I wanted to make sure that one family could buy one set of bars and it solved all of their issues. Because I just, realistically, I don't think people are going to store multiple bars in the shower. There's no packaging. You can't read which one is which. So I wanted to simplify the journey for a family. I had families in mind.
Do you have like when you make like the different scents? Do you have like a group come in and everyone smells the different scents and like, this one stinks. No, this one's good. What? How do you? Is that what y'all do? Control thing?
No, I just, so I've been in the industry for so long that I kind of know the buckets of the kind of scents people are drawn to. And so, someone might be gourmand, or someone might like floral, someone might like more musky or earthy. So I designed the scents to satisfy the different customer buckets that I knew already existed. And I also encourage people to go into stores and smell them, because then they have like a fun experience of choosing the one that they really like. Because once you choose your dip scent, you have it for a long time. Like, especially the conditioner, it will last most people a year. With your hair, it might last you 2 years. So yeah, like, I want people to choose a scent that is really personal for them.
What you've sold hundreds of thousands of bars with just minimal traditional advertising.
Yeah.
Can you discuss what role word of mouth, community, and authenticity has played with the dip success?
Sure. I mean, we really we were really counterculture and went against the grain on so many things. So part of our marketing is that we don't do a lot of marketing, and that, we have a trust recession right now where no one believes anything online, but we've stood from day one. We're only putting real customers on the feed. That if you see someone say something good or bad about dip, that's an experience that they've had. And luckily for me, more often than not, it's something great about the brand. So that word of mouth engine only works if someone has, tried a shampoo or conditioner bar before and was very disappointed, and then gave dip a shot, and then they're surprised and they tell everyone they know, or they're switching from something very expensive and then take a chance with dip, and then they can't believe that it works. So what we see in the buying pattern is sometimes, a lot of times, someone will buy it for themselves, and then that same person will see them ship it to other people, like sometimes 6 other people. They get people on board with it because they're so surprised. And the money saving, especially in this economy, is like a big deal. People want to have really beautiful hair, and they want to save money, and they want the plastic part is usually like a tertiary thing for them, but they're still excited about that part.
Now, you've won awards as a Forbes contributor and award-winning founder. It says New Jersey Mompreneur. I'm probably, yes, of the year. What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs building purpose-driven brands?
I think the number one advice I would give to any entrepreneur is stop thinking of your products from your lens. It's way more important to think of your products from the consumer's lens. Like, what is it that you want them to take away from it? How do you want them to be treated? Or like, how would you want to be treated as a customer? Something that we do that's very special is we have human customer service. I have someone on the team who is our customer service person. So if you have an issue with dip, or you have a question, that question gets answered by an actual human, not a chat bot. And I think that is so important, for anyone starting a company. Like, stop taking all the shortcuts and remember what it's like to be a customer, and think about all those friction points that you have as a customer that make you never want to buy from a company again, and turn them all on their heads. And for sustainability, it was ineffectiveness, right? People are like tired of that. I think people are tired of being scared into buying products and then paying more only to have something that disappoints them.
Okay. How do you balance performance using premium science-backed ingredients with low waste design and plastic elimination?
Well, the first thing is that I refuse to accept that there's a tension between those things. I think that you can have all of it. I think you can have great sustainable products. I think you can have high performance products, and I think you can make them plastic free. Like, that's how I went into it. I knew it could be done. And I knew it could be done well. Sometimes you have to figure out what your number one goal is. If my number one goal was making a natural product, that would have been different. My products are not all natural, but my products work. They respect the environment, and they leave people like very surprised. So I think if you're a lot of brands, I think that went into sustainability kind of catered to a crowd that demanded everything be all natural. And I've never been an all natural person for products. I want the science. I want the technology that makes hair look amazing. I don't think it's worth having an all natural plastic free product if it doesn't work.
When you look at it now, when I look at your website, it's
Mhm.
very it leans women, and I get that.
Yeah.
Do you have what's the breakdown, do you think, of male and female?
So it's 70% female, 30% male. And so a lot of the male individuals that buy dip, they buy the tobacco scent or the wild sage and vetiver scent. Those are kind of more masculine. And a lot of men purchase because of how simple and long it lasts, and how, it's recommended by a lot of functional medicine doctors. So a lot of people that are looking for things that are just healthier alternatives. Like a lot of men are coming to dip for that, or they have long hair, or they surf. So there's a lot of men that are buying dip, and it's something that makes me very proud, because we took that into consideration with the marketing and the scents. Like we didn't, most hair care is going only after a female audience, and we wanted to just leave the door open for men to purchase.
When y'all look at it as a thing, which sometimes it gets goofy, but like, would y'all sit there and go, let's focus this whole campaign towards men? As example, Mando. I know that's the
Yeah.
big, like, so you've got, we're man, and then like channels, television channels will be like, this is a man's channel,
Mhm.
this is a female's channel. I like, do y'all, when you think about it,
Mhm.
do you go, I just want the soap to be good ingredients, plastic free, and I'm not going to sit there and I'm going to call it Mando.
No,
And I'm
yeah.
not trying to take shots at Mando by any stretch, but
I know what you're
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, so I wanted it to be that a man could purchase it, like the tobacco and the wild sage. It's like a tan box that's tan and brown, or an orange and blue box. I wanted it to be so that someone could look at it and be like, "That's not so girly." Do you know what I mean? But I also am very, very much in tune with the fact that most women are even in a family with men, with husbands, the women are the purchasers of the product. So I always had, you always have to think of that first, and then think of men as the secondary.
No,
There's
right, gotcha. No, yeah, absolutely. Do you believe that it's voluntary consumer choices and market innovations like DIP's model for more effective than heavy regulations or bans for reducing plastic waste? Because I know there's a lot of states, hey, let's ban the plastic straw,
Mhm.
let's do this but you're going, hey, here's a better product.
Yeah.
Is that would you rather have that instead of being a law or a regulation?
I prefer my method. I prefer my method. I give them something better that works, that saves them money, over the government method. The government method is a slow turning wheel. And, it's not like seat belts, which like really save lives immediately, which was a law that makes a lot of sense. But, getting rid of straws it seems like something that, or plastic bags, so there's always that argument that that plastic bag, even though it's generally only used for about 12 minutes or 12 seconds, I can't remember, but it's then for many families, that plastic bag is like, then lines the garbage can in the bathroom, or then, is used for cat litter, whatever, we hear about that. I think that giving people better alternatives is the right move. I think enterprise and commerce is what it was fuels innovation. And I think that it's important for people to realize, when you say there should be a law banning XYZ, that absolves you from doing your own part. So if you can take it upon yourself and have the initiative to make the changes, that's what steers the market, and that's what brings excitement to an innovation that solves these problems. I think the government does a very slow job at that, and That's my soapbox on that. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. I thought that was,
Mhm.
you know, I like it when individuals go, "Hey, here's a better way,"
Me too.
and then it changes the industry. It can
Right.
change it, and nothing was ever passed by, one of the smart folks, I guess. In
Yeah.
the beauty industry, how do corporate practices and scale often harm small businesses and the environment, and how is DIP pushing back?
So the beauty industry is just loaded with plastic. It's almost every day I see a new brand launch, and it's, launched at Sephora, launched at Ulta, launched at Target, Walmart, and it's mass. So they're launching hundreds of thousands of plastic bottles at one time. And so when you think of that, a lot of times when something launches and goes right into store, it might fail. So you might have this situation where, you know, the way the economy is right now, people might not be running to get that product. Eventually that product gets discounted. Eventually that product might have to go to a landfill because it's not sold. If it doesn't, if the overstock or liquidation doesn't go to a TJ Maxx or a Home Goods or a Marshalls, then the next place that product goes is a landfill. It goes to the trash. It eventually expires. So if you think about the beauty industry and how brands launch at scale without any guarantee of sell through, you're seeing hundreds of thousands of units go eventually, like, that are, with all good intentions being put out on the market, eventually ending up in a landfill because they can't sell. They can't be moved from shelf. And what's interesting about that is only seeing Amazon and TikTok Shop disrupt shelf velocity or sales velocity in those other stores so hard. It's impacted them so much that so many of these things are already going to be destined to fail because people aren't going in to buy them off the shelf. So this kind of, I want to say this, like, self-fulfilling prophecy machine, huge giant corporation, beauty corporation launches, like, those are probably the worst thing for the beauty industry and the environment right now.
Do any of the beauty industry, like the big corporations, they look at your thing and they'll come up and they'll say, yeah, they might want to either try to buy you, or do they go like, "Hey, let's try to"? Do they ever do underhanded stuff,
Oh yeah.
like try to
Yeah.
make their own
Yeah, they
dip
do it
to
all the time. I mean, I
Okay.
just had a competitor. So one of our most popular scents is called Rosewater Jasmine. It's been one of our most popular since, I don't know, since 2021, so 5 years.
Uh-huh.
One of our competitors that's, I think, might be floundering, otherwise I don't know why you do this. They just launched Rosy Jasmine and put it in the same color box. And so that's intended, I think, to confuse cut, consumers and steal some of our market share. There's also another company because now ChatGPT is how people discover products. So another one of our competitive brands or competitors, they wrote 5 different articles about dip they're not bad articles, they're just kind of misinformed.
Uh-huh.
They're not knocking us, but they're now trying to steal our direct traffic by feeding articles into ChatGPT so that when someone looks for dip on ChatGPT, they get our competitor.
Interesting.
So this is the kind of underhanded stuff you see. I see it as a sign of desperation. Like, I don't need to do that to my competitors because people actually, buy dip and recommend it organically. So I see that as a sign of competitive brands are panicking.
I had never thought about it because I remember. Do you remember who is the Moby, the
Mhm.
DJ? And
Yeah.
he started making tea, and his big thing was, "Oh, I make tea because people can't sample. They sample my music. They can't make my tea." And while you were talking, I started thinking about that. Like, did anyone ever come up and take it? That's why I asked that
Yeah.
question. Um,
Yeah. What's interesting is because dip grows in real life and not
uh,
online, it's very
uh,
difficult for people to infiltrate our customers.
right. I could see that because you would have to be known. Like they're going to be searching you out, or
Yeah.
word of
They'll
mouth
come and
be
find
something
us.
really big.
Yeah.
Correct. what role do you think independent stores and refill models play in the future of retail and sustainability?
So I think retailers, the small stores in your town that, pay the taxes that make your town cool and support all of the things that are really worth paying for in your town, like the teachers, the fire departments, the roads. So I think that these stores are they're going to be the last truth tellers in commerce. When you think about it and what's happening with AI and advertising and the economy and the desperation of brands out there, you're actually better off going into a store, a local store, even if it's a local, even if it's a local Ulta, but seeing products in person, talking to someone in person and making sure that the product does what it says it does by someone who has tried it and vetted it in real life. Because we're seeing so much digital pollution and how products are getting recommended, how products are, fake reviews and review farms and all of these other things that are happening right now. AI influencers are the new chapter of kind of crazy marketing. I think that most people will be so fed up with the internet and by trying to find something on the internet and doing all this extra research to buy every single thing in their life, they're just going to want to go back to stores again. And I'm really genuinely hoping for that.
What let me see. What role do you hold on? There we go. There we go. Now we got it on the right question. How do you handle criticism and sustainability that sustainability products are too expensive or niche? And how do you make dip accessible?
So with criticism, what the thing about criticism is it's going to happen, and it would sting more if I didn't believe in what I was selling and if it wasn't proven. I think criticism when I first launched probably stung a lot harder than criticism today. But what I know about dip is that it saves people a lot of money. We're actually one of the more expensive bars in the game. But the fact that the $32 conditioner bar saved me personally $500 in conditioner is and works. And it is like something that is a huge, huge deal. So even if someone says it's more expensive, if you're buying a kind of like a CVS or a drugstore brand shampoo and conditioner, you'll probably net out even if you purchase dip, like price wise. And what's cool about that is that the experience I think of dip is better than some of those liquid brands. So, someone might be that's when someone is going to be switching for the plastic free part. And I don't know. I mean, the criticism hurts, but it hurts a lot less now that I know it's so well loved by, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, I could see that. As someone who has seen the beauty world from the inside, what changes would you like to see made from ingredient regulations to packaging standards or corporate accountability? Is it still plastic? I assume plastic. Is there anything else?
So plastic is my biggest beef with the beauty industry. Like I think it's just sad when I see something that's full of chunky, unnecessary plastic. So even if something comes in plastic, that's fine. But when in the beauty industry, so much of the plastic becomes decorative, and and the fill size gets smaller and smaller, whereas the decoration size gets bigger and bigger. I take issue with that just being allowed to be put out. But it's really up to the consumers to be like, okay, when I'm buying a beauty product, I really am it's like the beauty. It's like what's on the inside that counts, right? And so if you start to look at what you actually get versus the size of the jar, or in beauty, we call it the component, I think it's important for people to start opening their eyes and looking at that part too.
Do you think it's possible for brands like Dip to be able to educate consumers about the plastic problem without sounding positive and not preachy?
I mean, that's kind of been our jam for the past 5 years. So I don't want to preach at anyone about plastic. It's just, it doesn't move the needle, and it doesn't get people to care, and it doesn't make people feel good. And so I think that era of fear marketing is gone, and I think people are done with it. I'm personally done with it. As someone who buys sustainable stuff, I get really turned off by a company that has to sell me fear instead of the problem solution of what they're giving. And the problem solution is not plastic. It's, for me, it's like I I want to air dry my hair and have a low maintenance lifestyle. So like I want my hair care to be able to let me to air dry as well as like, do a blowout. I just want my hair to look good. But if you're telling me to buy something because it's plastic free, it's just not interesting. I think consumers are done. They don't want to buy things that because they're plastic free. They want to buy things because they solve something for them.
What core values guide your decision at Dip, and how do they show up in your daily operations or tough choices?
Yeah, the core value that drives us the most is making sure our customers feel seen and heard. And that's whether it's someone's a direct to consumer customer or also our retailers who are also customers like B2B. And so that's the core part of our business that really sets us apart. Like we do everything we can to listen to our retailers and see how they're doing and what they need. Even like our salon people, there's eco salons that carry Dip, and then there's also surf shops that carry Dip. We make sure that we do everything we can to enable them to succeed. And with our direct to consumer, again, like it's making sure that those customers feel like they're customers and not consumers to us, that they're individuals and they're not treated as like a blanket, data point. Because I think what happens so often is in marketing, people feel like they've become data points. And I don't think business was supposed to be like that through the history of humankind and commerce. I don't think people were meant to feel like just a add to cart cog in machine. I think there was a human relationship when things were purchased and sold, and I think people want that back.
Now, outside of the business, it said I was reading you're an avid trail runner, correct?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the furthest you run?
Oh,
When you go out for a run, what's your typical run now?
My casual run is 3 to 5 miles.
Okay.
My longest run was a 50K. So
50K.
yeah, long
What
one.
made you do that? Just to prove
Curiosity.
yourself?
It was just curiosity. But on a trail, like trail running it's not like road marathon running. Trail running is like a little bit more like fast hiking. So I don't want someone to be so impressed. Like it's trail running is fast jogging, like fast hiking basically in the woods.
Right. The thing about trail running, when I used to run, and I've just started getting back into it, but I've always done the street. And
Yeah.
when I would do trails, I have my coordination, my balance. You hit them little rocks and you're
Oh yeah.
twisting and turning. So it also said, did you surf and ski too? Was that your big three? Or
yeah. I'm not really great at surfing, but I love it. Like I think I love it because the failure rate is so high for me. When I finally get on the board, it feels magical. But yeah, these are all things that I like to do outside, and it keeps you kind of grounded in nature and how powerful, Mother Nature really is.
Where do you live? Are you in North Carolina? I know you said your company.
No, I'm in New Jersey.
You're in Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you surf in Jersey? Where do you surf at? Because
I mostly surf in warm water on vacation when I can get there.
Okay, you're not going out there into the Jersey Sea.
No. I prefer warm water vacation surfing, so Costa Rica or Nicaragua, all those places. But yeah, and then for New Jersey, I live 20 minutes from a ski mountain, and there's trails all over the place where I am. I'm in a very outdoorsy part of Jersey.
What legacy do you hope Dip leaves, both for the planet and the founders, and for other founders, especially women and moms?
So I hope Dip leaves a legacy of you can create a business that feeds your family and takes care of others without without really, scaling to oblivion and costing your peace. That's the biggest thing I want. I want people to realize. And I also think you can create a company that, solves a problem without directly mentioning that problem all the time. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think what people need to remember when they start a company is just, you know, we're all trying to do the best we can, and want we all want the same things for our lives, whether, it's a beautiful world, you know, products that are good for our health. We want to be able to, like have a great economy. All of those things are really important to me. And I want that how Dip has been built to have a ripple effect on how other people choose to support independent retailers around the country.
Is there any other industry besides the beauty industry that you wanted to put your feet in? Examples, you talked about surfing and even with
Yeah.
the surf shops, something with surfboards or whatever that industry is. Have you ever looked into doing some other industry, another passion?
Maybe my passion is also spending time with my family, which is like a very like the more companies you start, the less time you have with your family. And so while my kids are little, and so they're 8 and 10, while they're little,
Okay.
my passions will be split between the company and the kids. And then maybe when they're older, I'll tackle something else. But it's starting a company. I'm talking about it casually as if it's easy. It's not easy. It's very hard. And it requires so much of like the pie chart of my brain, and I don't know whether I have any more to give.
Okay, well that makes sense. If you could change one thing about the beauty or sustainability landscape tomorrow, what would it be? If you could change up one thing.
I would prefer more products that work so well that I don't feel like they're sacrifice. I feel like a lot of plastic-free products I buy don't do a very good job of making me feel like they're as great as the plastic counterparts. So I think, and there's some that are exceptions to that rule for sure, but I think there's many categories that can be improved upon, and I want people to really focus on what's inside and not just the paper tube.
What excites you most about the future of Dip? Do you have new products? Do you have anything that's getting you all excited? Or, you know, the
I,
future?
yeah, I I am very surprised to find out that Dip is becoming a benchmark for other entrepreneurs to see like how a business can be run. And I'm really, really excited about the future of seeing Dip on more independent retailers' shelves, and really paving the way, having a reputation for paving the way that this kind of business can be profitable and it can be done. And I mean that is very exciting to me. I mean, we have some new products coming around that probably won't launch until 2027, because it takes a long time to do products right, and to put them through all the proper testing. But like, I love seeing this shift in consumers that really want to buy things locally and support their local entrepreneurs. It's very cool to me.
Well, that's awesome. That's the end of my questions. I want to thank you for coming on. I think you're doing a bang up job because I always get inspired by individuals that put their neck on the line and go, hey, this is something I want to change. And if more people did that, we would have a better world. I do believe, don't look into someone else to fix the problem. You went and said, hey, here's the problem. I want to fix it. And you're fixing it. And I think you're doing an excellent job with you and your products. So thank you so much for coming on. And that's the end. Where can we find it? Is it dipalready.com? Is that
That's
where you
it.
shop
You
it?
nailed it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
dipalready.com. And that's also our Instagram handle at dipalready and
Uh-huh.
at dipalready on TikTok. Um,
Okay. Wonderful. So go there to dipalready.com, buy some products, support the lady, support the company. And until next time, thank you for coming on, Kate. I'm Brian, that's Kate, and we will see you later. Have a good day, everybody.